The Table and the Candlestick by Louis Ginzberg. While the number of cherubim was the same in the temple as in the tabernacle, Solomon had, on the other hand, 10 tables set up in the temple, in place of the one fashioned by Moses. This was because the one table sufficed to bring sustenance to Israel so long as they were maintained by manna in the desert. But as the demand for food was greater after they settled in the Promised Land, Solomon had 10 tables set up. But in the temple also did the table of Moses retain its ancient significance, for only upon it was the showbread placed, and it stood in the center, whereas the tables fashioned by Solomon stood 5 to the south and 5 to the north. For from the south come the dews of blessing and the rains of plenty, while all evil comes from the north. Hence Solomon said, "The tables on the south side shall cause the rains of plenty and the dews of blessing to come upon the earth, while the tables on the north side shall keep off all evil from Israel." 337. Moses had great difficulty with the construction of the candlestick, for although God had given him instructions about it, he completely forgot these when he descended from heaven. He hereupon betook himself to God once more to be shown, but in vain, for hardly had he reached earth when he again forgot. When he betook himself to God the third time, God took a candlestick of fire and plainly showed him every single detail of it, that he might now be able to reconstruct the candlestick for the tabernacle. When he found it still hard to form a clear conception of the nature of the candlestick, God quieted him with these words, "Go to Bezalel, he will do it aright." And indeed, Bezalel had no difficulty in doing so, and instantly executed Moses' commission. Moses cried in amazement, "God showed me repeatedly how to make the candlestick, yet I could not properly seize the idea. But thou, without having had it shown thee by God, couldst fashion it out of thy own fund of knowledge. Truly dost thou deserve thy name Bezalel, in the shadow of God, for thou dost act as if thou hadst been in the shadow of God, while he was showing me the candlestick." The candlestick was later set up in the Temple of Solomon, and although he set up 10 other candlesticks, still this one was the first to be lighted. Solomon chose the number 10 because it corresponds to the number of words revealed on Sinai, and each of these candlesticks had 7 lamps, 70 in all, to correspond to the 70 nations. For while these lamps burned, the power of these nations was held in check, but on the day on which these lamps are extinguished, the power of the nations is increased. 339. The candlestick stood toward the south, and the table to the north of the sanctuary, the table to indicate the delights of which the pious would partake in paradise, which lies to the north. The light of the candlestick to symbolize the light of the Shekinah, for in the future world there will be but one delight, to gaze at the light of the Shekinah. 340. On account of its sacredness, the candlestick was one of the 5 sacred objects that God concealed at the destruction of the temple by Nebuchadnezzar, and that he will restore when in his loving kindness he will erect his house and temple. These sacred objects are the ark, the candlestick, the fire of the altar, the Holy Spirit of prophecy, and the cherubim. 341.